The Golden State Warriors season has reached a point where internal questions can no longer be ignored. After nearly one-third of the regular season, the franchise sits below .500, struggling to find offensive consistency and facing renewed scrutiny over roster construction, aging stars, and the role of Jimmy Butler within Steve Kerr's system. Before diving into the details, one thing is certain. If you follow the NBA seriously, this story matters. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapter, like this video to push the debate forward, and comment the city you're watching from. Warriors fans around the world, let's see where this conversation is coming from. On the court, the numbers are alarming. Golden State holds a 13-14 record and ranks among the 10 worst offenses in the league. If the playoffs started today, the Warriors would once again be fighting through the play-in tournament, with no guarantee of survival. They are tied in losses with 9th-place Memphis and only 2 losses away from the draft lottery zone. Teams like Utah and Portland hover just behind them, while even Dallas, widely criticized earlier this season, is not far off in the standings. Amid this instability, one question has begun to surface more frequently. Where does Jimmy Butler fit into all of this? Acquired to ease the offensive burden on Stephen Curry and provide late-game reliability, Butler has yet to establish himself as a defining presence for the Warriors, despite respectable individual efficiency. Golden State's dependence on Curry remains extreme. When the franchise star is unavailable, whether due to rest or injury, the team's struggles become immediately apparent. This pattern has repeated itself throughout the season, reinforcing the perception that the Warriors lack a sustainable secondary engine. Jonathan Kuminga once again finds himself outside the regular rotation, further complicating the team's developmental outlook. While the offense has faltered, the defense has managed to perform at a higher level, ranking among the top 5 in the league overall. However, that figure masks significant flaws. Golden State has had difficulty containing dribble penetration, protecting the rim, and maintaining defensive organization under pressure. In close games, these weaknesses are magnified. In clutch situations, the Warriors own one of the poorest defensive ratings in the NBA, winning only 5 of 14 games decided in high-pressure moments. Jimmy Butler's presence has not consistently altered those outcomes. Statistically, his season appears solid. He is averaging 19 points per game, shooting one of the best field goal percentages of his career and posting a career-high three-point percentage at 44%. Advanced metrics paint him as one of the most impactful players on the roster, with Golden State performing significantly better per 100 possessions when he is on the floor. Yet the eye test tells a different story. For a player earning $54 million this season, Butler's influence has felt muted. He is not the clear second option behind Curry, nor has he reliably taken control of games when the offense stagnates. The disconnect between efficiency and authority has fueled debate around whether the issue lies with the player or the system. Steve Kerr has publicly accepted responsibility. Following a recent loss to Portland, the head coach admitted that he has not maximized Butler's role this season. Butler has attempted just 11 shots per game on average and has failed to reach 20 points in over 2 weeks. Kerr acknowledged the need to place the ball in Butler's hands more frequently, particularly in half-court situations where structure and decision-making are critical. Kerr emphasized that Butler's value goes beyond scoring, pointing to his playmaking and ability to control tempo. He referenced last season as an example of more effective usage, when Butler was consistently positioned to attack mismatches and create opportunities for teammates. This year, those patterns have appeared sporadically rather than systematically. Even with Kerr's accountability, the expectation remains that Butler must assert himself more forcefully. Golden State did not acquire him to be merely efficient. They brought him in to stabilize a declining offense, provide leadership in tense moments, and lessen the load on Curry. So far, that transformation has not materialized. As the season progresses, the Warriors find themselves at a crossroads. Their record reflects mediocrity, their offense lacks identity, and their reliance on aging stars continues to limit flexibility. Whether Jimmy Butler becomes a solution or another symbol of a franchise struggling to adapt will shape the remainder of the season, and possibly the future of the organization itself. Beyond the immediate discussion surrounding Jimmy Butler's usage, The Golden State Warriors' struggles are best understood as the result of a slow and cumulative decline rather than a sudden collapse. What once stood as the NBA's most forward-thinking organization now finds itself constrained by past decisions, an aging core, and a league that has evolved faster than its roster. Stephen Curry remains the undeniable centerpiece of the franchise. Individually, his production continues to defy age and expectation. He is still scoring at an elite level, maintaining near-perfect efficiency splits, and commanding defensive attention that reshapes opposing game plans. Yet the most telling indicator of Golden State's predicament is that Curry's excellence no longer translates into dominance. Even when he performs at an MVP caliber level, the Warriors struggle to separate themselves from the middle of the Western Conference. The team's record reflects this imbalance clearly. With Curry on the floor, Golden State remains competitive but inconsistent. Without him, the structure collapses almost immediately. Offensive spacing deteriorates, decision-making slows, and defensive cohesion weakens. This dependency underscores a roster built around a single remaining pillar, rather than a system capable of sustaining success independently. The roots of this issue trace back to the franchise's post-dynasty strategy. Between 2020 and 2021, the Warriors held 3 lottery picks in consecutive drafts, a rare opportunity to accelerate a generational transition. Instead of consolidating assets for established contributors, the organization chose a dual-track approach, extending the championship window while simultaneously developing young talent alongside Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. In theory, the plan offered balance. In execution, it failed to deliver continuity. James Wiseman, selected second overall in 2020, never developed into a reliable rotation player and was ultimately moved without providing tangible return. Jonathan Kuminga, drafted 7th overall, remains an unresolved question. Despite his athletic profile, he has struggled to secure consistent trust within Steve Kerr's system, often finding himself outside the rotation entirely. Moses Moody has shown flashes of reliability but has not emerged as a long-term building block. These outcomes stand in sharp contrast to the players selected shortly after them in those same drafts, many of whom have become core contributors or franchise cornerstones elsewhere in the league. Golden State's commitment to internal development ultimately left the roster thin during a critical competitive window. The departure of Klay Thompson marked another inflection point. While his decline was gradual, Thompson's presence once ensured spacing, defensive discipline, and postseason composure. His exit removed a stabilizing force that had masked other structural weaknesses. The acquisition of Jimmy Butler was intended to compensate for that loss by introducing physicality, shot creation, and late-game control. Instead, it has highlighted the system's limitations. Butler's statistical efficiency is undeniable, yet his influence fluctuates. He has not consistently dictated pace, nor has he emerged as the clear offensive counterweight to Curry. Part of this responsibility falls on Steve Kerr, whose offensive framework increasingly struggles to adapt to personnel that diverges from the Warriors' traditional motion-heavy identity. Half-court possessions often stagnate, ball movement slows under pressure, and the offense frequently defaults to Curry isolations when structure breaks down. Defensively, the Warriors remain competitive on paper, ranking among the league's better units overall. However, those metrics deteriorate sharply in high-leverage moments. In close games, Golden State struggles to protect the rim, contain penetration, and maintain disciplined rotations. These late-game breakdowns reflect not only schematic issues, but also fatigue and age. Draymond Green continues to anchor the defense intellectually and emotionally, but his impact is increasingly limited by physical wear and availability. Beyond him, the roster lacks younger defenders capable of sustaining intensity over extended stretches. Even when the defense holds early, it often erodes as games tighten. Financial constraints further complicate the situation. With significant salary commitments tied to Curry, Butler, and Green, the Warriors lack flexibility to pursue major upgrades. Draft capital is limited, and trade assets are insufficient to realistically chase another star without dismantling what remains of the core. As a result, Golden State appears locked into its current configuration for the foreseeable future. This reality raises a difficult but unavoidable question. Has the championship window already closed? The Warriors remain competitive enough to avoid irrelevance, yet not dynamic enough to threaten the league's elite. The Western Conference has grown younger, deeper, and more athletic, while Golden State continues to rely on players approaching the final stages of their careers. What unfolds next may define the franchise's direction beyond the Curry era. The decline has been gradual, not dramatic, but it is now impossible to ignore. Golden State is no longer shaping the league's future. It is attempting to survive within it, leaning on past excellence while confronting an uncertain path forward.